Do you guys feel like in your analysis and looking at all those selections of which, as you highlighted, there are many, it are there fewer options like in the last 10 years? Does it feel like fictional sports movies are sort of on the downtick in terms of what's being produced and released?
I would say yeah, but that's almost any genre that isn't superhero or horror. There's just a general downtick in what's being produced.
True.
It's funny. I think like two of my favorite basketball movies, easy top 10, maybe top 5, were released though in the past like 4-ish years, between Hustle and Air. If you're gonna count Air, I loved both of those. So there is that. It's that I think now with sports movies, a lot of it's tapping into like the other side of sports. There's less go team go, rah rah underdog team winning the title at the end or going to a big game at the end, and it's more, I think, like the Moneyball effect kind of like, let's get to
It's like the analytics.
yeah, let's get to the story behind the story. Let's cover a scout in Air. Let's cover a scout in Hustle, or let's cover the Michael Jordan the creation of the Air Jordan in Air, or I not a basketball movie, but like my favorite sports movie the past 10 years is probably Everybody Wants Some, which is Richard Linklater's spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused, that is about a college baseball team, and there is one baseball scene in the movie. There's a practice, and it's more just about the team and like how the sport really brings them together. So there's more, it's more stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of any genre, there's just less to pick from than there was in the 80s and the 90s when they were just cranking these things out. There's like multiple sports movies a year. So that's where the bulk of the book is from. I think the most recent movie in the book is She's the Man. Rick, probably, right? Or Talladega Nights, like Talladega Nights, She's the Man, something like that.
Creed.
Oh, Creed. Yeah,
when
that's
did
right.
Creed come
That's
out?
right. So Creed. Yeah, they'll all, the boxing movies will be made until when the world is over, there will just be cockroaches and boxing movies left.
Which is interesting on Creed. Not to change the subject, but when you spoke with Jeff Pearlman, Kyle, I think he even said he believes Creed is the best of the Rocky series. Which I never really thought about that, but I think he might be right.
Yeah, I kind of consider them different. I struggle to say like Creed is the best. I know that's Jeff's taken. Like I would say I like Creed more than I like watching Creed more than I like watching any of the Rocky movies, but I feel it's unfair to compare them, as like Rocky started in the 70s.
I think, just to interject, I will add that with Creed, I think for people that are not into boxing, that they do not know how boxing works, that movie is fantastic in showing you how boxing works from basically ground zero to being a champion. I think it does an excellent job of explaining just how, it works in terms of, with Creed, he has a job and he has to go to Mexico and he's just getting the crap beaten out of him to work his way to the top. I think it was really fantastic, interwoven all those stories. I'm sorry to interject, Matt, but
No. But then also the way they took Balboa, this iconic character who was always so front and center and everything else, and they made him the side character.
Mm-hmm.
But that was great. He was almost like the Jedi Master passing on his skills, and I loved how Ryan Coogler just wrote that story, structured that story, and just shot it. The way that whole film is shot.
Creed's phenomenal. Amazing. Yeah, the first fight in Creed where he fights the one guy's son, and it's just like the 2-rounder, and it's the single shot is. I always say, like, I remember watching that and just being like flung into my seat. Like, I just couldn't believe it. It was it's still the most incredible boxing match in a movie I've ever seen.
So we've done a lot of analysis on our show. We've done some movie reviews, but a lot of documentary reviews. Wanted to ask, with all the analysis you guys have done for the book, what are the kind of essential elements of a great sports fictional movie?
Ooh, Kyle, I'm going to let you take that, buddy, because Kyle's been doing his podcast for a long time, and I know you've gotten into that a lot.
Yeah, you've got to get the sports right enough. You've got to, and it depends on what kind of movie you're making. If you are making serious basketball, baseball, football movie, the sports have to look really good. if you're making basketball, or if you're making semi-pro, if you're making a comedy, if your first purpose is the comedic effect and not the authenticity of the sports, then you get a little more leeway. Although I will say, like, there are some like the basketball and semi-pro from everyone other than Will Ferrell looks pretty good. Like Woody Harrelson can ball. So you got to have that. You've got to, if you are doing a story around a team or around a specific person, you have got to have enough buy-in in that person where you care about their success, or if there's some sort of anti-hero, like you've got to be invested. When that big chill moment at the end hits, when they try to do the the Roy Hobbs home run in the natural, or that kind of like championship game moment or something like that, you have to be invested one way or another in really wanting this to happen. There are some movies where it falls short for me. Like I don't want to. The movie's fine, but like Glory Road is just like middle of the road for me, because it's
100%.
Because I'm not as bought in. I don't think they've done a good enough job developing the team, the characters. Like, you've got to spread the ball around. You have to have, if you're doing a team sports movie, you've got to have investment in multiple characters. That's where I think a movie like Rookie of the Year falls really short, because it's like, hey, we've got a 12-year-old relief pitcher, and now suddenly we're really good, and like at the end I'm like, I don't care if this team wins.
But Kyle, to add on to that, I would say, as a Tar Heel fan, in Glory Road, I do love how they made Kentucky the big bad.
I'm sure you did.
I'm all for that. I'm all for that at any time.
I'm sure you did. Yeah, but they pull in. I think John Voight plays Adolph Rupp in that. Yeah. No, they've got to get you invested in some form or fashion. You have got to, just like sports. I mean, it's why we love sports. We love being invested in something bigger than us, and so you have to, the movie has to find a way to make you commit to those characters in, say, an hour and a half. So by the last 30 minutes, that you're just as dialed in as if it was your favorite team.
Yes. And I would just say too, I mean, you talk about this too, Kyle, when we first met and started writing this thing, and you brought up the great point of the big chill moments, right? And to me, a really great sports movie has multiple moments like that, right? It's like in screenwriting, when they talk about you need an action, if you're writing an action movie, you need an action movie every, like 10 minutes or something, to keep the story. To me, The Natural is one of those great ones where, they start out at the beginning with he's striking out the whammer, and then all throughout the movie, there's these little moments of greatness, and it just completely, it constantly builds to that last iconic moment that everyone knows. So breaking up a film structurally where you get those moments, like those rah-rah stand off, jump off the couch moments to cheer, that's what makes, to me, a really great sports movie.
Yeah.
A quick timeout from the interview to request a favor. If you love our interviews, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video to hear more interviews from the world of basketball, featuring journalists from SB Nation, ESPN, CBS Sports, and The Athletic. Now, back to the interview.
Yeah, the person who does that best is, or one of the best, is Gavin O'Connor, because Miracle is full of those moments, and then a movie that was probably a tough cut from the book for Rick and I was Warrior. The MMA movie with Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton, and that's like for me, that's almost like a perfect sports movie. It's just,
have you guys seen that, by the way? We always ask people, that's almost like my conversation starter with people. It's like, have you seen Warrior? And if they say no, it's like, here's a copy, dude.
Yeah,
watch it right now.
Oh man, well, I got to get on it, because I'll be honest, I have not.
That's exactly why it's not in the book. No one saw it.
That's a huge
no one saw it.
Because I'm a huge combat sports fan. I knew a lot of behind the scenes of that movie. Never got around to seeing it.
It's so good.
I need to see it.
It's incredible, I don't watch combat sports at all.
Yeah, same. And I sat down and made my kids watch it one time, and at the end, no spoilers, but they both turned to me almost on the verge of tears, like, "Why did you make us watch that?" Now I'm all emotional.